Mirmanjas, good morning, dobro jutro. Dear Prime Minister, dear representatives of state bodies, dear diplomatic corps, dear speakers, and dear participants. On behalf of the Republic of Kosovo, the Ministry of Economy, and partners, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you at the 5th Western Balkan Digital Summit. Firstly, I want to thank you all for attending this important event, which is taking place for the first time in Kosovo. I sincerely hope that the 2 days of discussions and side events will help us make progress in both the four main areas of focus and in cooperating to empower the youth of our country and beyond. This summit is the start of a longer journey that is largely dedicated to all of you. As a youngster, it is my pleasure to have the opportunity to speak on a matter that lines up so closely to my passions: technology, inclusivity, and the power of youth activism. A formidable trio that I believe has the power to transform the youth of the Western Balkans, its social and public institutions, and most importantly, the future of our youth. Digital technologies around the world present unmatched prospects to quicken sustainable development. They are transforming the way governments, businesses, and society as a whole are functioning. The way we engage, communicate, deliver, and access services could all be fundamentally altered by new technology. Over the past few years, Kosovo and other Western Balkan entities have launched a number of initiatives to advance the nation into the digital era. Significant progress has been made in building platforms for government services, connections between the government and its citizens, and business-to-business connections. The groundwork for entrepreneurship has been created, and certain enabling conditions are in place. But our work here is not done. It has just started. As a young woman in ICT, over the past 5 years, I have had the opportunity to be part of various youth activism programs, technology-led workshops, competitions, the Young European Ambassador Network, and also most recently co-founded my own organization, Chican STEM. All these different experiences have allowed me to connect with youth from all over the Western Balkans and beyond. Based on the conversations and discussions that I've had, I was able to determine how ready our youth is to excel and prosper, and how willing they are to learn and to overcome any obstacle in order to learn. Ladies and gentlemen, in order for us to make progress towards creating a sustainable digital environment for our country and region, we must always keep in mind that our youth is our greatest asset. I truly believe that as a community, it is time we recognize the power that we hold. We have the power to educate, the power to educate, bring new experiences, and transform the perception of our world. The least we can do is make these resources available, the job opportunities, internships, and scholarships, public and accessible to all of the youth. As I've said previously, our youth is ready to excel and help us reach transformation. But we must work in empowering them just as hard as they strive to empower themselves. Please remember, we cannot always build a future for our youth, but we can always build our youth for the future. Thank you. I would now like to welcome on stage His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kosovo, Mr. ALBIN KURTI, to open this ceremony and to give us his speech. Enjoy.
Dear ministers, dear representatives from the EU and the Western Balkans, dear members of the ICT community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Kosovo, it is a great pleasure to host the 5th Western Balkans Digital Summit, initiated within the Berlin process, organized in cooperation with the Regional Cooperation Council. The Western Balkans Digital Summit is the largest regional ICT event that gathers government representatives, the private sector, academia, and connects them with the ICT community from the Western Balkans, the EU, and beyond. Digitalization is one of the key priorities of our government. We are working on creating citizen-centric electronic services which provide increased transparency and accountability of governance, then improve the quality of services and ease the lives of our citizens. We aim to utilize digital transformation as a driver to reform our public administration, improve the quality of our education system, increase the efficiency of the health and justice system, and contribute to the improvement of all areas of governance. And with broader digitalization in the economy, including the digital transformation of government and businesses, we aim for increased productivity and socioeconomic growth. It is the people and not the technology itself that is the most important element which will make or break the success of the digital transformation. And the people are our biggest national potential. With our tech-savvy youth, the vibrant ICT sector, and the entrepreneurial spirit of our ICT community, we have some of the key ingredients for the implementing of digital transformation successfully. However, like many other countries, we are also facing the challenge of brain drain. The global demand for highly skilled ICT professionals, which has never been higher, provides opportunities for our skilled young people to emigrate and continue their careers abroad. So with our engagement in socioeconomic development and transformation towards a knowledge-based economy, we aim not only to slow down this brain drain trend, but also to try to reverse it through brain gain initiatives that would help unleash the huge potential of our diaspora in the EU and US. When we talk about the people component of digital transformation, it is not only the digital professionals we need to be concerned with. We also need to consider the people that will use the digital technologies and systems and the digital skills they are expected to have. Therefore, we need to consider the required digital skills for civil servants, teachers, and doctors, and ultimately the required digital skills for civil servants and for our citizens in general. This implies the necessity of engaging in upskilling and reskilling programs and initiatives which will help address the digital skills mismatch and enhance digital literacy in our society. A lot of progress has been achieved in improving digital infrastructure and connectivity within our country. With internet penetration covering over 99% of households, Kosovo scores better in comparison with other countries in the region and even with the EU average. However, a lot remains to be done to improve digital infrastructure and connectivity in schools and hospitals. And we are just about to make the very first steps towards opening the doors for piloting and implementation of 5G networks. The pandemic has given a great push to the growth of the digital economy. E-banking is already established as the main channel for banking services, and usage of e-commerce has increased significantly. The implementation of digital identity, a project we are starting soon with support from the EU, will provide a significant boost to the development of the digital government and digital economy. Advancing the national interoperability between government systems will also open doors for more electronic services from the private sector. However, many of our non-ICT businesses, small and medium enterprises in particular, lack capacities to engage in digital transformation. And that is another area that requires our joint attention. As we tend to become more digital, we're also becoming more vulnerable to cyber attacks. Cyber attacks have the potential not only to take down websites and degrade or hinder access to services, but also to severely impact the operations of critical infrastructure and harm national security. And cyber attacks are not a distant potential threat. They are our daily reality. 2 weeks ago, our government was the target of a cyber attack. A week later, our public telecom operator was also attacked. So continuously addressing cybersecurity by taking measures at the policy and operational level is a necessary component of the digital transformation. All these opportunities and challenges, digital skills, digital connectivity, digital economy, and cybersecurity are not confined to Kosovo alone. A couple of weeks before our government systems were attacked, Albania was likewise targeted by a severe cyber attack on its government systems, and so was Montenegro. An energy provider of Bosnia and Herzegovina was also attacked recently. So the challenges of digitalization we face are quite similar to the ones that the other Western Balkan countries are also facing. And so are the opportunities. The Western Balkans Digital Summit provides an excellent forum to share knowledge and experience among the Western Balkan countries. Implementation of Rome like at home within the Western Balkans has been an important achievement of the previous digital summits, as it has made the communication between people in our region cheaper and easier. The roadmap for reduction of roaming charges between the Western Balkans and the EU is another important step forward that will bring benefits to our citizens and businesses. This edition of the Digital Summit will provide an opportunity for the Western Balkan countries to continue and advance the discussion on expanding cooperation in areas like interoperability, digital identity, free flow of data, and cybersecurity. The summit will also help pave the way for the integration of the Western Balkans into the pan-European digital market. I would like to thank our Ministry of Economy for its engagement in preparing this edition of the summit. I wish the participants many fruitful discussions and a successful 5th edition of the Western Balkans Digital Summit. Thank you and welcome once more.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Next, Next, we will play a video record of the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Ms. Mariya Gabriel. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot be with you in Pristina today. I cannot be with you in Pristina today, but I could not miss this chance to participate in this 5th Western Balkans Digital Summit. I remember well when I was Commissioner for the Digital Economy and Society, working together to pave the way to the first Digital Summit in Skopje in 2018. And I'm proud to see that the summit, this community, has established itself as an annual platform for exchange and cooperation in the region. When I look back, I see how far we have come. Just last year, the Commission adopted the path to the digital decade, setting up a governance framework to reach our 2030 digital decade targets at European level, while identifying and implementing large-scale digital projects. Our targets for 2030 focus on 4 key pillars: skills, digital transformation of businesses, secure a sustainable digital infrastructure, and digitalization of public services. These key pillars are as critical for the EU as for the Western Balkans. The digital transition is one of the thematic areas in the Western Balkans agenda for innovation, research, education, culture, youth and sport, which the European Union launched together with the Western Balkans leaders at the Brdo Summit last year. And the Western Balkans are an invaluable partner in the international dimension of the Digital Education Action Plan. I'm glad that every year our cooperation continues to grow. In Tirana in June, I launched the new Western Balkans Ministerial Platform on Culture. By sharing knowledge and best practices, we'll take our common work in the field of culture to the next level. And it is thanks to digital technologies that the cultural and creative industries can further develop their enormous potential. In June, I also announced the launch of a new enhanced partnership with the Western Balkans under the Erasmus Plus program. This partnership enables educational organizations and institutions in the Western Balkans not associated to the program to participate in strategic actions, starting with the European Universities Initiative as of 2023. We all know why this is important. Our best capital is human capital. And the deeper the cooperation between universities, including in digital transformation, the better they can prepare our young people for the future. Regardless of the policy area, working together brings us closer. Look at what we have already achieved. Take, for example, our selfie tool, which allows schools to reflect on their digital capacity, improving how they leverage technology in the classroom. It is available in the Western Balkans languages and has been used by more than 200,000 learners, teachers and school leaders throughout the region. Building on this success, the Selfie for Work-Based Learning module was launched this year alongside the new Selfie for Teachers. Both are available for the region. Then there is the Erasmus Plus program, a crucial tool to promote digital skills in your economies. The program's digital opportunity traineeships are an excellent vehicle to develop the advanced digital skills of students, vocational education and traineeship and teachers. Digital transformation, of course, also brings risk. That is why this October we are launching 2 sets of guidelines for teachers and educators. One on digital literacy and tackling disinformation through education and training, and another on artificial intelligence in teaching and learning. And rest assured, the human-centered approach remains at the top of our agenda. We rely on vibrant communities like yours to help us promote these guidelines. Dear friends, I want to make sure that the Western Balkans continue to benefit from our initiatives. For example, I want to see you in the next edition of the Digital Education Hackathon, boosting user-driven innovation in digital education. And I'm very happy to see that one of the pillars of this year's summit is focused precisely on digital skills and youth. We have to ensure that young people are at the forefront of the digital decade, especially as 2022 is the European Year of Youth, because our youth is not only our future, that's our present. I wish you now a great summit.
Such an inspiring speech from Ms. Mariya Gabriel. I would like to invite you all to now watch a video record of the European Commissioner for Neighbourhood and Enlargement, Mr. Oliver Varhelyi.
It is a great pleasure to address you today on the occasion of the Digital Summit in Pristina. Honorable Ministers, last summer we could successfully introduce the Roam Like at Home program. This meant the end of roaming tariffs within the Western Balkans, an important achievement which was possible thanks to your collective strong commitment and successful cooperation. Immediately after that, we have started to work on lowering roaming costs between the European Union and the Western Balkans. We are now finalizing the preparatory work with mobile operators. To create a win-win situation for businesses and people alike, we support that all telecom operators join this process and implement the roadmap for lowering roaming costs swiftly. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed challenges in digital education and brought to the forefront the importance of digital skills for our societies. Together with our Western Balkan partners and other stakeholders, the EU is working to face the challenges of remote working, teaching and learning, with the aim to improve digital education and promote virtual learning. Since the beginning of my mandate, expanding and modernizing the digital infrastructure in the Western Balkans was a priority. Therefore, we have put the support of digital transformation of the Western Balkans into the center of the 30 billion euros worth economic and investment plan designed with the region and for the region. To create a well-functioning digital service market, infrastructure investments are not enough. The regulatory environment also needs to be reformed. You can count on my support to your efforts to create a regional digital area with the aim to align the Western Balkans to the functioning of the single market of the European Union. Allow me to mention the recent destructive cyber attacks taking place in Albania, Montenegro and Kosovo. The European Union is more aware than ever of the importance of effective cybersecurity capabilities and cyber resilience and the need to deepen and expand our cooperation with our partner countries, especially in the current geopolitical landscape. We are fully engaged in implementing the EU cybersecurity strategy, which was adopted at the end of 2020, and the strategic compass for security and defense adopted at the beginning of this year. As an example of our commitment to implement these strategies in the Western Balkans, we have just finalized an extensive needs assessment with each of the Western Balkan partners. On that basis, we are developing a cyber capacity building program that will start in early next year. I can assure you that you are able to count on the European Commission to support you in your efforts to create a safe regional digital area. I wish you a successful conference.
We want to thank Mr. Oliver Varhelyi virtually for his speech. Now, I would like to invite... Sorry. Now, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Belinda Baluku, the Deputy Prime Minister of Albania.
Dear Prime Minister Kurti, dear ministers, representative of European Commission, dear participants. On behalf of the Prime Minister of Albania, Mr. Edi Rama, I have pleased to be here today at another gathering of Western Balkans. As an expression of our commitment to work closely together for the digital transformation of our economies and build on the cooperation laid out in the previous edition of the Western Balkans Digital Summit. Digital transformation is not a choice. It is inevitable. Technology and digitalization provide values across the sectors, all aspects of our everyday and work life. This is why it is important to keep up with the new advancement and, of course, as governments, to accommodate them not only in our working processes, but also provide the necessary legal and regulatory framework for their advancement. In this context, we particularly value the start of the regulatory dialogue between the European Union and Western Balkans, focused on the effective transposition of the acquis and priority legislative reforms in line with the objectives of digital and green transformation. What is also very important is the joint effort to achieve the reduction of the roaming tariffs between the European Union and Western Balkans. It may seem small compared to the other big change happening in the sector, as is the 5G revolution, but it is something that affects our citizens and their pockets directly, and it is something I'm very certain that they will appreciate because the Balkan people love to travel. And also because we witnessed the impact that free roaming in the region had when we implemented the package roaming like at home in July last year. The creation of a common digital market and enhanced digital connectivity capacities through optic fiber or advanced 5G technologies opens the door for a myriad of possibility in other key sectors as well as energy, infrastructure, and even education. Acknowledging the power that a device the size of the palm of our hands hold, the government of Albania has long started a deep reform for the digital transformation, starting from the services that we offer to our citizens and businesses, and also the work processes of the public administration. Today, in Albania, over 1,200 public services are offered online. That is the 95% of all services offered, excluding those where physical presence is required for identification or security reasons. In 2014, this was only 1% or just 14 services offered online. This translates to reduced time and cost for receiving these services, enable our citizens to access and receive these services wherever they are and whenever they need it. But most importantly, this has completely removed the interaction between citizens and public officials, eliminating even the possibility for corruption in exchange for receiving the services that the citizens have the right to receive and public officials have the duty to guarantee, restoring the trust of the people in public institutions. We have today 2.7 million registered users of these services. 2.7 million Albanians who have instant access to their personal information. 27.8 million applications for the use of these services. 55 database and electronic registers that interact and exchange real-time accurate information through 215 million transactions. 21 million documents that are sealed and stamped electronically have been generated through the eAlbania platform. In total, we have saved our citizens more than 990 years of waiting time queuing behind counters. We have saved our citizens over 9 million euro for services tariffs through documents stamped electronically and issued at no cost. Businesses benefit from a wide range of services, including registration, permits, licenses, tax payment, going completely paperless. Foreign nationals can apply and be granted a visa through the e-visa platform without having to visit any consulate. We have also digitalized our internal processes by implementing software and database that allow the public administration to interact remotely and exchange documentation, which save time. It's more efficient and more reliable than verbal exchanges. And why not also reduce the use of paper waste on photocopying countless of pages of documents. The digital revolution, it is a reality, but it's also a work in progress. Of course, the digitalization of our systems, database, and critical infrastructure, it's also its drawbacks. It leaves us exposed and makes us vulnerable towards cyber threats. Unfortunately, our country has received and recently have suffered a cyber attack, not by an individual or common hacker, but a coordinated and well-organized attack orchestrated by another country. Of course, our response, with the great support of our strategic partners, has been immediate and thoughtful in order to minimize the damage of this attack, as well as to increase the security of our networks and the digital systems. I share this with you because I strongly believe that this should serve as a moment of reflection on our work ahead of us to guarantee the protection of our critical infrastructure, or our system and our citizen personal and sensitive information, and prevent such future attacks wherever they may be hosted. The government of Albania remains committed to the development of a safe, reliable digital infrastructure and to undertake activities to improve cybersecurity cooperation and cybersecurity capabilities, resilience and regional cybersecurity awareness with a focus on cyber threat prevention and detection, as well as effective and rapid recovery. I take this opportunity to reinvite the European Commission, the Regional Cooperation Council, and other international partners to continue to support regional cooperation and coordination through the implementation of regional action and strategy, politically, financially, and technically. We are small countries, but the damage we may suffer can have heavily consequences that cross border. On a more positive note, on behalf of the government of Albania, I would like to thank Prime Minister Kurti and the government of Republic of Kosovo for hosting the 5th edition of the Digital Summit of the Western Balkans, underlining the importance of joint effort to accelerate regional and European Union cooperation in all areas of digitalization and cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Belinda Valuku, for your speech. Next, we invite the State Secretary at the Federal Ministry for Digital and Transport, Mr. Stefan Schnorr, for his speech.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Zeneli. Prime Minister Kurti, dear Minister Rizvanoli, Deputy Prime Minister Valuku, General Secretary Bregu, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome also to our little robot here on the stage. I think it was a little bit too stressy for him, so he has to sit down now and he could not stand any longer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the invitation to the 5th Western Balkan Digital Summit. I'm delighted to be here in person and get a first-hand experience of the summit. It's my first time Prime Minister here in West Balkan, my first time in Kosovo, and I think it's not my last time. I like this country and it's very nice here, so thank you very, very much for the invitation. The summit is indeed, in my opinion, a major success story for Europeans and for Europe's digital transformation. And it will continue to be of great significance in the years ahead because digitization, and the speakers before me mentioned it, is one of the key elements, the key issues of our times. So much has happened since 2021, the summit in Montenegro, globally, in Europe, at the EU level, and also in Germany and in West Balkan. All this has left a mark on the digital transformation as well, and with all the challenges of our time, digital policy and the digital economy are only growing in importance. Not least because of this, it is also so important that digital policy in Europe must move closer together. Many digital policy issues are interesting for the states of the Western Balkans as they are for the EU member states. Because we all, the European states, have the same interests and we must work together in a spirit of trust, and this summit is a very good opportunity to do so. The first subject, in my opinion, is digital sovereignty. The current global situation clearly shows that Europe needs greater digital sovereignty. We need to be better positioned to be able to act and make decisions self-determined in the digital space. Digital sovereignty does not mean self-sufficiency or isolation, no autarky. We need open markets, this is very clear, and we need to strengthen rules-based worldwide trade. But we must also to be able to shape the necessary digital change in a self-determined manner in the long term. This is extremely important. This includes having and evolving key core competencies, technologies, infrastructures and services available in Europe. It also means that European countries must work together closely and get all stakeholders involved. This is also the part of the summit. We integrate all the relevant stakeholders. Cooperation at European level has become more essential than ever to make Europe a global leader in international competition. And as the Prime Minister mentioned, the issue of cybersecurity is more and more important for us, especially in times like now. And we heard that there are a lot of EU initiatives, and this shows that we cannot solve the cybersecurity problems alone. We have to work together on European level, not only EU level, but together with all European states. The second subject is closely linked to the first. One of the essential requirements for digital sovereignty is that we are ambitious when shaping the digital transformation of our societies, economies, and administrations. On that note, I would like to introduce the federal government digital strategy of Germany, a package of measures that our government adopted at the end of last month. The strategy is our German policy digital roadmap for the next years. And in accordance with the EU program for the digital decade, our digital strategy contains a clear vision for the process of transforming society, industry, and science in the next year. It comprises three fields of action, and these are digital sovereignty, an innovative economy, including work, science, research, and learning, and a digital government. There, we, especially in Germany, can do much more, and we want to do much more in the next years, especially also by introducing a digital identity. We do not have this at the moment in Germany, and I think that this digital identity is extremely important for the whole of Europe, also as a part of our sovereignty. Every ministry in Germany is responsible for funding and implementing its own measures implemented by the strategy through comprehensive monitoring. We want to make sure that all the measures are indeed implemented in the next years. Ladies and gentlemen, the federal government also adopted a gigabit strategy as a very significant part of the digital strategy. Our aim is to ensure in the next years universal fiber to the home coverage with a state-of-the-art mobile communication standard wherever people live, work, or travel. Key measures of our gigabit strategy includes accelerating and digitization approval procedures, increasing transparency about existing infrastructures, enhancing public funding for deployment, and improving the mobile communication coverage along the transport infrastructure. The third subject is sustainability. The digital transformation, must not only be digital, it also must be climate sensitive. In the future, we need this climate sensitive transformation. Digitization itself has a potential to make an essential contribution, I think, to the green transformation, preserve biodiversity, and reduce environmental pollution. However, digitization itself uses up energy and resources. In the face of rising energy prices, like now, and scarce resources, manufacturers and network operators have come up with many innovative ideas for the future. Our federal government committed itself to reducing environmental impact of digital infrastructure and taking measures to reduce the consumption of resources. It would be particularly interesting for me to hear about the ideas and the experiences in this area from the countries of the Western Balkans in the upcoming Digital Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, the horizontal exchange between European countries is very, very important source of impetus for the digital transformation. The exchange of opinions and best practices, for example, for rapid gigabit and 5G expansion, was already a topic at the meeting of the Directors General during the German EU Council presidency in 2020, 2 years ago. In the same year, the European Union Connectivity Toolbox for the development of high-performance networks and rapid deployment of 5G frequencies was created. Best practices will also be presented tomorrow by the GIZ, the German Society for International Cooperation, as part of the side events of this summit. As part of German development cooperation, the GIZ supports, among other things, the modernization of local administrations in the countries of the Western Balkans. This summit here, ladies and gentlemen, is the best example for an active exchange of ideas and experience among European states. The conference program includes many ambitious topics and goals that we in Europe must tackle together with all of our strengths. During the recent visit to the region, our Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized the strategic importance of the states of the Western Balkans. In his speech in Prague in August, in which he outlined his vision of Europe, he explicitly stated that the countries of the Western Balkans belong to Europe. This support also applies to the Digital Summit. We launched, indeed, the Berlin process. In 2017, based on this process, the Western Balkans Digital Summit developed as a forum for digitization issues. This was, and in my opinion, this is an enrichment for everyone involved. Germany will continue to support this process and the Western Balkans Digital Summit. I wish us all very success and intensive discussions at the next hours and the next days. Thank you very, very much, and all the best for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Schnar. Now it is time to welcome the Minister of Economy of the Republic of Kosovo, Ms. Artoane Rizvanoli.
Thank you, Jora. Dear Prime Minister KURTI, dear Deputy Prime Minister Baluku, fellow ministers and deputy ministers, ambassadors, dear representatives from the European Commission, the World Bank, ICT companies, experts, students, and ICT enthusiasts. It is difficult to speak about policy goals and their importance after so many speeches from so many distinguished guests here today. So I'm just going to welcome you. I'm very excited to host you here today in Kosovo for the 5th edition of the Western Balkans Digital Summit, an event that promotes and accelerates ICT regional cooperation as part of the Berlin process. And it has already brought tangible results for our citizens, like the abolishment of roaming tariffs last year. Last year's Digital Summit in Podgorica was a very productive and enjoyable experience for all of us attending. We discussed policy and practice, but also forged new friendships, which fostered further exchanging experience and cooperation throughout the year. It was clear then that as the next host country, we had a high standard to live up to. So 8 months ago, we gathered key stakeholders of our ICT sector, businesses, experts, civil society organizations, as well as other government institutions, to discuss how to organize an equally successful digital summit in Pristina, but also to do it in a way that brings out the best, the very spirit of our young country, with talented and creative youth, a supportive ecosystem for startups, which we aim to further improve, and a growing and ever-changing ICT sector that makes us proud and invests in the skills of its workforce in an exemplary manner, not only for Kosovo, but also for the region. Also with startups that are working and locally and globally to address issues such as skills gaps in ICT in innovative ways. You will have a chance to see some of the work firsthand here today. And we, as Ministry of Economy and Government of Republic of Kosovo, continue to be committed to work in developing the infrastructure, policies, and skills that make it possible for you to thrive, and for the citizens to maximize, and for our businesses to maximize the potentials, opportunities that digitalization prevents, while minimizing the risks that it also comes with. Another one of our key aims when organizing this, planning this event was to make the Digital Summit an inclusive and attractive one where old policymakers, and I use that term very loosely, of course, can enjoy talks in terms such as interoperability. And I promise you, you'll get the fair share from me on that tomorrow in the ministers' panel. But also one where the voice of those that we are making policies for, i.e. the next generation, is heard, and they also find this event worthy of participating in. So we make sure that we had to have inspiring young people, like Yora here today who opened the event, but also side events that tailored to all ages and interests, from coding and robotics competitions, hackathon, game jam, to inspirational talks and B2B meetings. If this event becomes half of what we aspired it to be, and I have to say so far the prospects look very good for it becoming exactly how we wanted it to be, it will be due to the great work and dedication of the teams that worked on making this happen. The team in the Ministry of Economy, other institutions and organizations and experts, and the RCC, and a special thanks to the German government and the European Commission for their support throughout this process. I look forward to the next 2 days and hope that the summit will be an opportunity for all of us to discuss openly about policies and practice, the work that we are doing, and the challenges that we face, which I know are similar across the region, to get ideas for new solutions from each other as well as from guests we have here from Europe and the US, to forge new friendships and cross-border cooperation, and inspirations to work together towards our joint long-term goals and values, which is particularly important in these challenging times for Europe and the world. I hope you all have a productive and enjoyable summit, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Rizvanoli. Next, I will invite you all to watch a video record of the Director General of DG Connect, Mr. Roberto Viola.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the host of this year, Kosovo, for the organization of this flagship event on digital transformation in the region. As we all know, the current period is a particular one. With the war on European soil, which certainly resonates in the Western Balkans, we are asking about what it means to be in a community that believes in democracy, in living together, and what to do for the values and aspirations of our people, and how we can support each other. As our President mentioned in her State of the Union speech, I would like to reaffirm the EU engagement to the Western Balkans accession process. As you know, you are our like-minded partner, especially in the current geopolitical context and the war in Ukraine. I welcome the efforts and the progress you have made And this is really remarkable. And this increases the convergence with the EU and the fast developing digital policy, the rules, the standards, and everything you are doing really closes the remaining gaps. After the successful agreement of the regional roaming agreement, Roam Like at Home, and this is now in place and enjoyed by citizens since the 1st of July 2021, we are now working with you on a roadmap that will create the condition for a single roaming space between the EU and the Western Balkans. It's a complex journey, but we are willing to do this journey together. I think never is enough. So I encourage you to continue the reforms to improve the market conditions, especially in telecom, especially in services, to make sure that we can arrive to lowering the charges that EU companies pay when accessing to Western Balkans network in order to make this transition to single roaming region a reality. Our main tool to work together is Digital Europe program and the association that we are offering to you to be partners in the Digital Europe program. Our flagship program of 7.5 billion projects, it's about the key areas in digital. It's about the skills, it's about high-performance computing, it's about the infrastructure, it's about setting cooperative space, and it's about artificial intelligence. We would like all of you to be partners in Digital Europe. We'll soon start to sign association agreement. As you know, the first one has been signed with Ukraine, and we are intensely negotiating with each of you to have an association agreement going. And in particular, one of the elements of the Digital Europe program is digital innovation hubs. Digital innovation hubs are this cooperative space that also are being used in the Western Balkans to support business and to support the digitalization of every single business. There are around 91 already in the Western Balkan region. They provide important service to businesses, and they are there to help adopting the latest digital technologies, Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and more. Also, it's very important that you look at high-performance computing, modeling, and AI to improve the understanding of our planet. We have been plagued in Europe and the Western Balkans by extreme weather events. We have been plagued by a pandemic that maybe we could have foreseen. We have been plagued by many different challenges. Understanding the planet Earth, understanding and forecasting extreme weather events, understanding agriculture and planning better, it's really what we want to get out of this marriage between high-performance computing and artificial intelligence and data. We have an organization which is called EuroHPC, which is responsible for the supercomputing program in Europe, and we want you to join. Already, some of you are members of EuroHPC. We want all of the Western Balkan countries to consider joining our EuroHPC in a mission not only to improve our knowledge, but so to say, together to save our environment and to better serve our citizens. And of course, serving our citizens is about trust and security. Cybersecurity is needed. We condemn strongly the recent cyber attacks in Albania and Montenegro. And those attacks should be really taken very seriously. At the EU Western Balkan Leaders Summit on the 23rd of June, the Commission called on the region for increased progress on the digital transition underpinned by strong cybersecurity. Cyber resilience of the Western Balkans is not only vital for the Western Balkans, it's also very important to safeguard the cyber resilience of the EU. Criminals know no border, and we have to fight this together. The EU is engaged in several initiatives to build cyber capacity, including the preparation to the response to attacks, to damaging and disrupting attacks, and this includes the support to through the foreign policy instrument that supplies technical assistance, exchange instruments, and of course, capacity building. We think the Western Balkans should take also very seriously the security of telecom networks. That's why we really are looking forward to the implementation of what is in the Memorandum of Understanding on 5G signed by the Western Balkans Digital Summit in 2020 in Tirana. We need you to take proportionate and appropriate measures based on risk to secure 5G networks. For this, I'm happy to see that you share the conclusion of the EU risk-based approach towards cybersecurity of 5G networks and in general, new and future networks. Based on the EU 5G support, we really have a framework to mitigate the risk and take effective measures to protect security. We need better infrastructure. We need better infrastructure clearly in Europe, we need it in the Western Balkans, and we need more connection between EU and Western Balkans. On broadband rollout, I think you should consider what we have done inside the EU in terms of our connectivity toolbox, and in particular look at the effort we are doing, and it's a continuing effort, it's a day-by-day effort to remove or diminish all the red tapes, unnecessary administrative hurdles that really make the life of companies in terms of investment infrastructure complicated. We need to streamline permit granting, we need to lower the fees, administrative fees, and facilitate the work of those that want to invest. We also need solid backbone connectivity in the Western Balkans, and as I said, connectivity in Western Balkans in Europe. We are ready to do that, we are ready to support this, and this is why we have an economic investment plan for the Western Balkans that has set aside 9 billion of funding. As with all EU investment, the twin and transformation, the digital and green transformation, are featuring very, very prominently. When you look at what we call the human-centered way of looking at the digital development, we have adopted two landmark regulations, the Digital Service Act and the Digital Market Act, that really try to put in motion the notion that human is at the center, citizen at the center. So there's no large platform that can rule, there's no large platform that can be above the law, but there should be criteria, objective, proportionate, by which citizens and business have confidence in dealing with very large platforms and in general dealing with the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, really a lot of work is ahead of us, but I'm confident that the strong relationship between the EU and the Western Balkans, based on common goals, will deliver really fruitful results for a digital future based on common values, shared commitment, common vision, which is, in a word, what is beneficial for our citizens. In this respect, I really wish you a very successful summit.
Last but not least, I invite you all to watch a video record from the Regional Cooperation Council, Ms. Mailinda Brego.
Dear Prime Minister Idaşur ALBIN, dear Commissioner, respected ministers, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a great day for Pristina. It is the center of gravity of one of the greatest Berlin process initiatives, the Western Balkans Digital Summit. Pristina today bursts and radiates with the dynamism of so many startups, companies, experts and policymakers, all united in their drive to harness the potentials of digitization for our region's growth. It is the same vibrant spirit and energy we are privileged to see in flesh just 2 weeks ago when we organized the dynamic youth-driven event Balkans 3. Youth drive and vigor is such a force to be reckoned with, inspiring yet at the same time compelling us, policymakers, to work much harder, smarter and swifter. This summit comes at a particular juncture for our region. While geopolitical, inflationary, energy, food, climate and other crises loom over, we also try to find some silver linings. The long overdue start of negotiations for Albania and North Macedonia. The encouraging State of Union address of President von der Leyen on our region's future in the Union, or the recent positive announcements by Germany, France and Poland on the continuation of the Berlin process as an additional means to foster regional cooperation and the European integration of the Western Balkans. At the same time, we can't but insist that bold, decisive and definite steps for our region's EU accession are taken without further delays, including the remise of visa liberalization for Kosovo and the candidate status for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Much like this juncture, digitization in our region has its two sides of the coin. On one hand, there have been great broadband connectivity strides. Kosovo is the home of a vast number of world-class talents, the highest rate of internet users in the region standing at 93%, with a huge number of companies registered in the ICT sector amounting to 1,000, and only last year exporting 130 million services regarding the ICT products. Dear all, with over a year now in implementation, we take pride in the major success of the regional roaming agreement, with a total of 143 million minutes of outgoing calls by our roaming users in 2021, representing 50% annual growth compared to 2019 and 2020. Now, let me take Kosovo as a case in point. What has Kosovo gained from being an equal participant at the RCC, thus enjoying the benefits of the regional initiatives? Allow me to elaborate a bit on this, and I will stop only on the digital agenda. Under Roam Like at Home regime, Kosovo specifically recorded 120% increase of minutes in calls, 260% increase of minutes received, and 500% increase in data volume. But the success of this achievement does not stand only at the economic benefit of zero tariffs while roaming among us, but in treating citizens of this region fairly and equally, settling as well the ongoing process of reduction of roaming prices between the Western Balkans and the European Union. What else? In the last 3 years, RCC embarked on a series of initiatives, competitions like Balkaton and similar ones like Futurismo, the Butterfly Award on Innovation, Youth Lab, the Regional Network of Women in Entrepreneurship, Women and Girls in STEM, aiming to boost our human capital and to support the Western Balkan region to move forward, while also trying to retain our talented workforce within our homes. In 3 years, we received 90 applications from Kosovo, one of the biggest numbers of applicants, and we had a great winner in each edition, like the rest of Western Balkan economies. These examples demonstrate the intrinsic value of cooperation as such. The region needs more cooperation, not less, because Western Balkans is a region composed of small markets, and they need to come together as one. Seeing regional relations from the individual lenses, Kosovo shelters the highest number of citizens at 52%, who tend to believe that the regional situation is notably better compared to the high-level political relationships among the economies. On the other hand, our region is recently struggling with serious cyber attacks, considered by a vast majority of the Western Balkan citizens a major threat, some even paralyzing government infrastructure and services for an extended period of time. To this end, a stronger regional response on cybersecurity as part of the respective European structure is instrumental. Western Balkans digital literacy is still low, as is the level of the cross-border interoperability. Disinformation and fake news flourished. 76% of citizens in Kosovo consider disinformation a major security threat. The audience online, once passive, is now active in all the social media platforms. And to prevent the targeted attacks and defamation campaigns, we must create regulations and policies that protect people from online manipulation. It is important to separate everyday arguments and viciousness, which is often driven by digital anonymity and the perception of division from being online and not face-to-face, from facts, truth, and reality. The intersection between social media, digital economy, and data lakes has become a global affair that, in a region like ours, can spur a modern conflict. Thus, we need to take action, although we are not a rich region. Calling for new laws and regulations is easy. The difficulty is to know how to do it quickly and democratically enough. Respect it all. Digitization is one of the great challenges of this century, and as such necessitates both a regional and a European approach. It also necessitates an intergenerational approach, keeping our youth's priorities and well-being at heart. The Common Regional Market Agenda our leaders committed to has an array of measures underpinning the digital transformation of our region. Their full implementation towards a seamless digital market in the Western Balkans can be a true game changer for our region's growth trajectory. Free flow of data in our region, digital identity for the Western Balkans, interoperable cross-border service delivery, substantively reduced roaming costs with the EU, Western Balkans Digital Skills and Job Coalition, and many other initiatives high on the RCC agenda is our commitment towards a digitally transformed region. And all Western Balkan economies will benefit on an equal share on this. Dear all, in a region where unemployment, corruption, trade, green agenda, natural disasters, risk of pandemics, cybercrime, large-scale migrations are our shared reality, it's a position of privilege to work on strengthening it socially and economically, but also to make its citizens proud of it, unfolding the real potential of this European area. We have still a vivid, talented, innovative, skillful young generation, and this is the golden key for the future of our region. It is the indelible debt that we owe to the citizens of this region, people who have endured a mountain of sufferings for more than half a century, people who have put out their faith for the transformation of their lives to Europe. It is even because we at the RCC are quite aware of this debt that we prefer tangible instead of promises, humbleness instead of hubris, cooperation instead of conflict. Thank you.
Firstly, I want to thank all the speakers for such wonderful speeches. And now we invite the Prime Minister, speakers, participants, and media for a visit to the side events area, which are currently taking place in the digital skills section. Please join us in the Beethoven conference room. And after that, enjoy your lunch. Thank you.